Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Some fascinating roster developments continuing to go down yesterday, but also drama in the Americas side. The changes they seem to be making for the upcoming weekend of matches are very interesting indeed, especially when it comes down to schedule conflicts with League of Legends, and what that means for the VCT games, and the way that they are going to be run. Is it going to affect certain teams, especially with scrims getting very interesting, especially for Sentinels in the last day or so? Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I really appreciate it. Starting with a couple of interesting changes. This is actually quite a big one really, if this is not reverted. So we talked about Yoru and the fact that he's now more expensive for the clone, but the clone is actually worse. Now, exactly why and how is a question mark, but you can see here Lothar explains that on the previous patch update, if you launched out a clone, he would quite quickly and easily skirt around the corner here, which is a very common strategy when using these kind of lineups for the clones. Now, fast forward to the present day, this is now what he does. Same lineup, same angle, and he takes half an hour to get around the corner, which is, yeah, it's significantly worse from multiple perspectives. Durka says, yeah, GG. So, who knows? This was not mentioned in the patch notes. Whether this is something that's either intended by the developers or not is a question mark. But if it is intended, then it's a pretty big deal. And if it's not, then it probably needs to be reverted. Otherwise, Durka isn't going to be running all that much Yoru any longer, I don't imagine. This is another big change. Confirmed starting on the 29th of April, that Fracture is gone again and Sunset is now back in. So, you know, they're changing everything around. I know that at this point, given that these maps, they never seem to change. I mean, we'll see what they do with Sunset, if anything, but they just take one out, put the other back in, never really change much nowadays. They just throw it back in the map pool. And remember, that's fine, but I think for certain pro teams, they won't be very happy about this. And I think there is an argument to say maybe we should have more maps available, certainly in ranked, right, for just more casual competitive players. To have all of the maps available might make a bit more sense. But yeah, for the pros, they're going to have Sunset back in. Obviously, I'm sure Sentinels are going to be pretty happy about that, right? Because as we know, you know, Sunset coming back in is a pretty big deal for them. They were literally tweeting just the other day about their results on Sunset and the fact that they'd like it to be back in here. Here we go. Get me to God's country. Sunset 74% map win on the 1st of April, just a couple of days ago. And as of yesterday, they've confirmed that, yes, Sunset is coming back into the rotation. So this is a pretty big deal for some teams. Sentinels will be happy about it. Teams that like Fracture will not. But I just wish they would do something more interesting, right? Like if you're going to bring a map back, change something about it, please. Now, Sentinels also tweeted this out the other day. Zekken really hit the best data 2025, and to be fair, this was a pretty sensational ace here on the Icebox. There's also talk about whether, like, is Fracture the right map to go? Should it be Icebox you get rid of as well? I know maybe there's some debate on that. But, yeah, this was the ace that Zekken hit. It was a disgusting one. This one was also pretty crazy, though, last night here from Floor. Now, the crazy thing really is that Floor had no help yesterday. That flick was just outrageous. And yeah, to ace, I think this was an ace anyway. I know there's only 2 left at this point, but yeah, Floor already had a couple of frags in the round at this point. And the final 2 shots are pretty outrageous as well. Governor stays alive, but I mean, yeah, the way that Floor, given that this was the first round on the board in the deciding series, or the deciding map of the series, and this is what it took to actually win it. I mean, even that shot on Hero was pretty disgusting, as was that one on Shao. So, just absurd clip from Floor. And, man, there was just no help, because Na'Vi won the series 2-1. Floor goes 70 in 44. I think what's cool is that Floor, with this type of performances, undisputedly confirms that a tier 1 spot is not going to go away anytime soon, even if it doesn't work out with Apex, because they have been getting battered apart from Floor individually pretty much. You know, no help really. Na'Vi get the victory, but, you know, I think Floor, I'm sure there are teams out there, like we talked about Evil Geniuses last year, maybe that team, something to consider anyway, but yeah, what a series from Floor and also from Na'Vi. They'll be pretty happy, of course. They won the game 1. Floor was on the Euro, 22-16 for the win. They lost the Haven 13-11. This was a close one, and then the split wasn't even very competitive, because apart from that insane round that we just mentioned to get to 4-1, apart from that, it was pretty much a bloodbath, right? So as Floor says, need to close out our games. 1-2 versus Na'Vi, not the result they were looking for. The other game in Europe yesterday was this one. Liquid played BBL, and this is actually a really important game because, you know, 2-1 in the ends to Liquid. They took a pretty dominant win on the Ascent in the end, 13-4. I mean, you're not going to see a 12-0 half every day. I know that there were some people when it got to 12-4 thinking, hang on a second here, right? They've just 12-0 slammed them on the defense, and now they've won the first 4 rounds on their defense. Maybe there's something possible here, but eventually Liquid, they closed out and got the job done. The game before, though, was BBL's, comfortably 13-4 in the Haven, and Fracture was then 13-7. So, strange series in many ways. Nice to see Patty Tech with a nice bounce-back win, right? Just because this Team Liquid team, especially with Serial coming in for, of course, Kamek in a controversial fashion, they needed a big win like this, and it was a pretty notable win against a BBL team who are no pushovers by any means. There is also talk as well about Loud, whether they're making roster changes, because it seems like Luxo maybe back in like to a team, and this time with Loud, because reportedly he's been changed from reserve to active, and they might be bringing a change to the Loud roster. Now, what would that be? That is a question. They play 100T in just over a day, so it's pretty important for them to lock in here quick. But yeah, Luxo is their sub. DG Zan, Vinny, Pankara, Toys, Kawazan, what are they going to do? Good question. Maybe Toys, it could be time to go. I don't know, we'll see. But according to rumours, I mean, the database literally says that he's become active. So either there's something else going on, or that is exactly what is happening. Now, we did show a couple of screenshots yesterday, and I know that you guys are pointing it out to me in the comments, and I thought that I did recognise the, sextuple V's in the name. And I thought that it was maybe Victor, but I didn't want to mention it just in case I was wrong. But yeah, turns out this is probably going to be happening. So yesterday we saw that M80 and Chet and Victor basically was spotted in a scrim, and it seems like Victor is going to be the man. Now, this was uploaded to e4equip.com, this article, but the article has since been deleted for some reason. So, not really sure what's going on. Maybe it's not yet confirmed. I guess we'll see. It is also, I will say, a very strange change on many respects, just because you guys might remember the beef that Psycho and Chet had. Was it over, like, where they would host the scrims or whatever? I know there's a video about it on this channel at some point in the past, but the idea of Psycho being at M80 and then Chet coming in as, like, assistant coach, they really need, like, 3 coaches. And then I guess there's the Victor decision, like, because if you bring in Victor, you're probably going to have to change the roles around a bit. But still, M80, they got rid of B-Dog. We think he's going to YFP. There's been, lots of talk about that over the last day or so as well. And now Victor potentially into M80. So would be a confusing decision. Maybe a good one, I don't know. But certainly not something that I would have necessarily expected. Now, one of the big dramas of yesterday was as follows. Now, we know that the, let's say, broadcast facility that is used by Riot for League of Legends and for VALORANT is shared. So they try and ensure that things are run smoothly, so there's no conflict really between the two franchises. However, when there has to be a conflict, League of Legends is the one that takes the precedence. And as Matt Reschke says yesterday, the VCT matches this Saturday and Sunday in the Americas will take place in our alternate arena without any fans. Our team has been working hard to ensure a seamless experience, so this is what is going to happen instead. Each of our 3 broadcasts will have a more laid-back experience between maps, including open slots for players or streamers to stop by and hang out on the broadcast. So honestly, it might be really fun, but I think many are saying, well, no fans is always a bit of an L, to be fair. 15-minute pre-show, quicker transitions. English broadcast will have tri-cast during matches for extra fun. It's honestly probably going to be a great time this to watch. And I think that it may work out well. Probably not ideal for the players, but for the broadcasters watching, let's say for the fans watching from at home, then sure, I think this is going to be a great time. For fans in the venue, well, there aren't any. So unlucky, I guess, on that one. So definitely unfortunate, but that's what they are going to do. And these are the games, of course, that are relevant on those couple of days, certainly Saturday, Sunday, when it's 2G versus Crew, and then G2 NRG. That's a big game for that environment. I mean, C9 MIBR, Fury 11, all of these pretty damn big games. And as I said earlier, Loud play 100T literally tomorrow as it stands. So yeah, those are the notable games of the weekends that are going to be affected by this change. It's kind of why I put CS Summit from back in the day on the thumbnail, because it might be that kind of vibe, and it might be kind of good fun. Now, speaking of Loud, here here, as we can see, Luxo is in, DG Zan, Vinny is there as well, so obviously those guys haven't got anywhere. It's between the others as to who's getting dropped. Toys maybe makes the most sense, but enter into your perspective in the comments. MAT were playing Crew, it was 8-4 in their favour, in Crew's favour. Fury were playing an unknown team. Cubit were playing Lev, and that was 10-7 to Lev. Of course, Lev have been struggling, but it seems as it stands, they're going to be sticking with things for now. TSM played MIBR as well. Looks like maybe Sim is going to be in there. And this was notable given how good MIBR have been lately, really, to go down 5-12 here. Of course, Fraud, coach of the team over there. This was the one that I threw on the thumbnail, right? Because, you know, G2 are considered to be, for very good reason, the team to stop in the Americas. They proved it over the last couple of months. So any scrim result where they're not winning is, of course, notable. And they were playing Sentinels, and it was 7-4 in Sentinels' favour. So a little bit notable there. Of course, like, what really matters is what happens in the matches, whether Sentinels can get the confidence that they seemingly need after what we heard discussed by their coach Kaplan just the other day. So very much into your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.